A tense exchange in the Senate today raised one of the most fundamental questions in American democracy: whether the Justice Department is truly independent from the White House. If you want clear, fact-driven coverage that explains what these moments actually mean, make sure to subscribe now and stay with us.
Your views on this is not pending litigation. So I want to get to the independence of the Justice Department. At your nomination hearing, I specifically asked you to provide assurance to every member of this committee that the Justice Department will only follow the facts and the law, and the White House will play no role in the cases investigated or brought. You stated in response, this was you, politics will not play a part in my decisions. And you also said the Justice Department must be independent and must act independently. Do you believe that you have upheld that commitment?
I absolutely have upheld that commitment, Senator. I pledged that I would end the weaponization also of the Justice Department, and that America would once again have a one-tier system of justice for all. And that is what we are doing in this country.
We saw this with the president directing an investigation prosecution of Chris Krebs, the former head of cybersecurity, Lisa Cook, who is a current governor of the Federal Reserve, Director Comey. And the president, and I know you have said that you will not discuss discussions you've had with the president about Comey. Is that correct? That you won't testify here about that? Because I was going to ask you if you received advice, instruction, or request from anyone at the White House to direct the department to engage in any investigations, prosecutorial actions, including decisions not to investigate or prosecute anyone.
I'm not going to discuss any conversations.
But then how about the Truth Social post on September 20th, 2025, in which the president said, "We can't delay any longer, Pam," using your name, "not bringing criminal charges are killing our reputation," his words, "and credibility." And then goes on to tell you to prosecute a member of this committee, to prosecute the Attorney General of New York, and to prosecute James Comey. Do you consider that a directive to the Justice Department?
Senator Klobuchar, President Trump is the most transparent president in American history, and I don't think he said anything that he hasn't said for years.
Okay, it has been reported that you initially pushed back against requests by senior Trump administration officials to push out or fire the acting U.S. Attorney in Virginia, Eric Siebert, who's a conservative Republican, who made the decision that the evidence was not there to prosecute Comey. What made you change your opinion?
I am not going to discuss personnel decisions.
Okay. Is it true that the career prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia found that there was insufficient evidence to bring criminal charges against former Director Comey?
I am not going to discuss pending cases because Comey was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia by, I may point out, one of the most liberal grand juries in the country.
Okay, let's go on to other firings or terminations. Last week, the Justice
Senator
Department,
Amy
your views
Klobuchar
on
of Minnesota
this is not pending
pressed
litigation.
Attorney General
So I
Pam
want to get to
Bondi
the independence
over
of the
President
Justice
Trump's
Department.
public posts
At your
calling for
nomination
criminal
hearing, I
prosecutions,
specifically
including
asked you
against
to
former
provide
FBI Director
assurance
James
to every
Comey.
member of this committee that the
Klobuchar
Justice
framed her
Department
questions
will
around
only
a
follow
promise
the facts and the
Bondi
law,
herself
and the
made
White
under
House will play
oath
no
during
role
her
in the
confirmation
cases
hearing,
investigated or
a
brought.
promise that
You
the
stated
Justice
in
Department would follow the
response,
facts and
this
the
was
law,
you,
and that the
politics will
White House
not
would
play a
play
part
no
in my
role
decision.
in decisions
And you
about
also said the
investigations or
Justice Department
prosecutions.
must be
Klobuchar
independent and
began
must
by
act
reminding Bondi of her
independently.
own words.
Do you believe that
Bondi
you
had
have upheld
pledged
that
that
commitment?
politics would not influence her
I
decisions,
absolutely
and
have
that the
upheld that
department must
commitment,
act
Senator. I
independently.
pledged that I would end the
Klobuchar asked
weaponization
a
also
simple but
of the
consequential
Justice
question:
Department, and that
do
America
you
would
believe
once
you have
again
upheld
have a
that commitment?
one-tier
Bondi
system of
answered
justice
yes,
for all.
saying she had
And that
ended
is
what
what
she
we are
called the
doing in this
weaponization
country.
of the Justice Department
We
and
saw this
restored a
with the president
one-tier system of
directing an
justice.
investigation
That phrase,
prosecution of Chris
one-tier
Krebs, the
system of
former head of
justice, has become a
cybersecurity,
central talking point of the
Lisa Cook,
administration, often
who is the
used to
current
argue that
governor of the
past
Federal
investigations
Reserve,
were politically
Director Comey.
motivated.
And the
Klobuchar
president,
then
and I know
turned to
you have said that
specific
you will not
examples.
discuss
She referenced instances in
discuss
which President
discussions you've
Trump
had with the
publicly
president
called for
about Comey.
investigations
Is
or
that correct?
prosecutions of named individuals,
That you won't
including Chris
testify here
Krebs,
about that?
the
'Cause I
former
was gonna
head of
ask
federal
you if
cybersecurity,
you received
Federal
advice,
Reserve Governor
instruction, or
Lisa
request
Cook,
from
and former
anyone at
FBI
the
Director
White House
James
to
Comey.
direct the department to
Klobuchar
engage in
acknowledged
any
that Bondi has
investigations,
repeatedly said
prosecutorial
she will not
actions,
discuss
including
conversations
decisions
with
not
the
to
president.
investigate or
She
prosecute
asked
anyone.
I'm not
directly
going to
whether
discuss any
Bondi would
conversations.
But
testify
then how
about
about
any
the Truth
advice,
Social post on
instruction, or
September
request
20th,
from the White House to
2025, in
initiate
which the
or
president
halt
said, "We can't
investigations or
delay any
prosecutions.
longer,
Bondi
Pam, using
declined,
your name,
saying she would not
not bringing
discuss those
criminal
conversations.
charges, are
That
killing our
refusal set up
reputation,"
the
his
core
words,
of
"and
Klobuchar's
credibility."
concern.
And
She
then
pointed to a
goes on
Truth
to
Social
tell you
post
to
from the president
prosecute
in
a
which he
member of this
publicly
committee,
criticized
to
Bondi by
prosecute the
name
Attorney
and
General of
urged
New
her to
York,
bring
and to
criminal
prosecute
charges,
James Comey.
listing
Do
several
you consider
specific
that a
individuals
directive to
and
the
saying
Justice
that not
Department?
prosecuting them was harming the
Senator
country's
Klobuchar,
reputation.
President Trump.
Klobuchar asked whether Bondi considered that post a directive to the Justice Department. Bondi responded by saying President Trump is the most transparent president in American history and suggested that he was simply repeating views he has expressed for years. She did not directly answer whether she viewed the post as a directive. Why does this matter? Because the Justice Department's legitimacy rests on the idea that prosecutions are based on evidence and law, not presidential pressure. Public posts naming targets and urging prosecutions blur that line, even if no formal order is issued. Klobuchar then raised reporting that Bondi initially resisted efforts by senior administration officials to remove the acting U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia after that office concluded there was insufficient evidence to prosecute James Comey. The acting U.S. attorney in question was a conservative Republican, not a political opponent of the president. Klobuchar asked what changed Bondi's mind. Bondi refused to discuss personnel decisions. Klobuchar followed up by asking whether career prosecutors in that district had indeed found the evidence insufficient to bring charges against Comey. Bondi again declined, citing pending matters. Bondi then stated that Comey had been indicted by a grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia, emphasizing that it was a liberal grand jury. That assertion shifted the discussion from prosecutorial discretion to the mechanics of indictment, but it did not answer Klobuchar's underlying concern about pressure, independence, or process. For viewers at home, here is the larger context. Presidents are allowed to express opinions. Attorneys general are allowed to listen. But the line that matters is whether public or private pressure influences prosecutorial decisions. Once that line is crossed, trust in the system erodes, regardless of political party. Klobuchar's questioning was not about defending James Comey as a person. It was about whether future investigations could be shaped by social media posts from the Oval Office and whether career prosecutors can make decisions without fear of being removed. If you want continued coverage that breaks down how power actually works behind the scenes, not just what is said in sound bites, subscribe now. These hearings are about more than one case. They are about whether the rule of law holds when it is tested by political loyalty. We will continue to follow this story closely and explain what comes next.